Imagine walking into a store. You see a $1 coffee. It feels tiny, almost meaningless. You pay without thinking. Now imagine making that same decision every single day, not because of the coffee, but because of the habit. The truth is, the decisions that shape your financial future almost never start with big amounts of money. They start with something so small that most people completely ignore it, and that tiny detail changes everything. Your brain loves easy decisions. $1 doesn't feel important. $5 doesn't seem like a big deal either. The problem begins when small choices stop being exceptions and quietly become routines. That's the moment your future starts changing without you even noticing. But that isn't the most surprising part. Now imagine saving just $1 every day before spending anything else. It sounds insignificant, almost too simple to matter. But your brain receives a completely different message. You stop seeing yourself as someone who only spends money. You begin seeing yourself as someone who builds wealth. That is where the real transformation begins. Researchers have discovered something fascinating. People who successfully maintain tiny habits are much more likely to build larger habits over time. The secret was never the amount of money. The secret has always been consistency. And there is one detail that almost nobody talks about. Every time you save before you spend, something invisible happens inside your mind. Your brain slowly starts connecting satisfaction with progress instead of immediate consumption. It feels like a small psychological shift. But over time, that tiny shift influences hundreds of future decisions, and the next idea explains exactly why. Most people believe becoming wealthy depends only on earning more money, but in reality, it often begins by spending differently. At first, the difference seems almost impossible to notice. A few months later, it becomes easier to recognize. After several years, it becomes impossible to ignore. Imagine two people starting today. One saves just $1 every single day. The other decides to wait until they earn more money before saving anything. A year later, only one of them has built the identity of someone who consistently creates wealth. And surprisingly, that isn't even the biggest benefit. Once a habit becomes automatic, it no longer depends on motivation. You don't have to convince yourself every morning. You don't have to negotiate with your emotions. You simply continue. That saves an incredible amount of mental energy, and that advantage becomes more valuable than most people realize. There is a scientific reason for that. Your brain is constantly trying to save effort. That's why repeating small actions creates stronger mental pathways over time. Eventually, saving money starts feeling completely natural. At the same time, impulsive spending begins to feel unusual. That is the moment when everything changes. By now, it may sound like this story has always been about $1, but it never was. It has always been about identity. Every single day, you are proving something to yourself. Either you prove that today's impulse matters more than tomorrow's freedom, or you prove that your future is worth protecting, even with the smallest possible action. And in the next part, you'll discover how this tiny $1 habit can grow into something far bigger than you ever imagined.